Hello and welcome to the latest Greater Birmingham Chambers of Commerce Q&A. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Professor Julian Beer, who's the Deputy Vice-Chancellor at Birmingham City University and also, of course, the President of the Transatlantic Chamber, and also Rowan Crozier, who's CEO at Brandauer. So good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Paul.
Good morning.
And just to sort of kick things off, maybe just give us a little pen portrait about your respective organisations and how you've been operating through the pandemic. So Julian, I'll just sort of start with you. Tell us about the breadth of activity that the university covers.
Yeah, so Birmingham City University, we're the university for Birmingham, and it's part of our mission, and we're all about transforming lives. So we as a former polytechnic take in what we call non-traditional students from some of the most deprived backgrounds and areas within Birmingham and the West Midlands. Majority of our students, around 28,000, the majority of those live locally and within Birmingham and the West Midlands. A high proportion of BAME community, first in family to go to university. So, you know, that transformation piece and that mission for us is very apt and very important to us. So we work very hard with our incoming first years to actually acclimatise them and get them settled in terms of higher education. And yeah, so we take people on a journey, and hopefully transformation at the end of it, we can assist with their own personal and individual transformations.
Wonderful, thank you, Julian. And Rowan, tell us about Brandauer and all that you've been doing.
So yeah, Brandauer are a SME-sized manufacturer based in the centre of Brum. We make lots of small parts that make the bigger parts work. We're very much focused on micron level engineering, manufacturing high-speed progression tools in-house, and then cycling those tools to stamp these precision parts that go into automotive, white goods, and the likes every day, the things that we use every day. We employ 45 people. An important part of our future is the young people that will be our engineers of the future. And we've been working with BCU, myself personally, since I've been at Brandauer, so that's 11 years, bringing new people into our business, both apprentices and graduates.
Fantastic, and it's great to see just behind you the Queen's Award for Enterprise, which I think that was last year, wasn't it, that you picked up that award? But I know something that everyone associated with the firm and us at the Chamber are very proud of that.
Yeah, it was a fantastic thing to mark a huge period of growth for us, really. And yeah, we won it for international trade and export. Something that's really put us in good stead to weather the current pandemic and come out the other side.
Yeah. So just on to graduates. So Julian, as you said, the mission of BCU, and I know the sort of passionate and committed staff, is all about transforming lives. I mean, what impact has the pandemic had on your ability to do that? And I suppose specifically on recent graduates, so those who graduated over the summer and normally would be, you know, sort of in the first few months of their first careers and exploring all that. What has been the scale of that impact?
The scale has been quite dramatic, and I've been in every forum that I possibly can, both nationally and locally, trying to highlight the real difficulties that young people and not so young people, because we deal with all ages at the university, how this is affecting them. If you looked at some of the programs the Chancellor put in place to try and help and support people during this time, none of that was aimed at graduates, and it really surprised me. And I did lots of press and lots of other sort of forums. I was speaking to the Minister yesterday for Bays and telling her all about some of the plight of some of the graduates that we've got, but not just the graduates. It's those that are in their third year who would be out on work experience and doing placements at the moment. It's about 30% down in terms of the opportunities for placements for third years. So it's not just the cohort that left last year and the cohort that's going to be leaving next year. It's there's 2 whole years there and a third behind it coming through that is being impacted. And we're talking tens of thousands of graduates in Birmingham and the West Midlands. Now that is something we all need to be concerned about in terms of society. Just to give you some stats and some numbers from research that we've been doing. I mean, in Birmingham, the claimant count has gone up from 35,000 to 66,000. Youth unemployment has gone up from 22,000 to 46,000 from January to October this year. Now that gives you the scale of youth unemployment across Birmingham, across the region. And when you look at who's being affected by that, it's the young, it's the low skilled, as well as graduates and BAME, especially our communities that have a high proportion of BAME. So that is quite shocking.
And especially, when Birmingham's such a young and diverse city, that that's the should be the lifeblood of which is going to fuel this city and this region, isn't it? And so to know those stats and to see the impact, it's really concerning. I mean, what are you doing at the university, Julian, to sort of try to help those talented young graduates and those in the third years, etc., through this period? What can you do?
Yeah, so as I said, there was nothing specifically in any of the Kickstarter program or any of the other programs that the Chancellor put on. So we've been working with like-minded universities in Birmingham, but also wider within the West Midlands and East Midlands. So the old former polytechnics, if you like. So we've been working collectively to look at what we could do without any government support to try and work with both graduates out there currently looking for opportunities, but also our third year, and look at what we could do in terms of initiatives for them. So we come up with a whole raft of what I think are quite innovative proposals, looking at from business startups right the way through to a scheme we're doing at BCU called Grow Your Own. And that's where our professional service areas, when they need temporary labour, we're taking our own graduates on, paying them and giving them 6 months work experience in IT, for instance, because we've got great graduates looking at us from AI to cybersecurity, etc. We've got real talent coming through, but no opportunity to actually apply that talent in a work setting. So we've been employing them ourselves in teams. So HR, my area, research, innovation, and enterprise. So we're employing as many as we can in the university, but also then working with all of our business network, including many chamber members, like Rowan and others, to actually look at what opportunities we can open up for placements, either paid or unpaid. At this stage, it doesn't matter. It's just
controlling what you can in this sort of very particular period and get through it, and then hopefully there'll be some positive lessons that will sort of, and habits that will come from it as well. Rowan, just going to switch over to you. And Julian sort of mentioned some of the work that's been going on, and obviously you mentioned your links with the university. Talk us through your sort of recent graduate employment and recruitment sort of plans, and what role graduates play in your longer term strategy.
So graduates have been vital in terms of us coming through this pandemic. During lockdown 1, I had to reduce significantly the number of people in the factory by approximately 60%. We had to stay operational because we were key worker status, supplying PPE components into the PPE supply chain. And it was because, I've got a good range of skills in our business. I was able to do that and run a factory from afar. So, for example, I've got a BCU, a part-time graduate who took first class level in manufacturing engineering. He ran the factory for me while I was working from home. And I've got 2 other level 4 apprentices who are going on to do full degree up to level 6, who again were key members of staff working throughout this. So fundamentally, it's in the lifeblood of what we do, and it's very topical for us. Like most businesses, though, any non-essential spend was chopped, really cut down, because cash had to be preserved. So, being honest, we stopped all recruitment, we stopped everything. However, that said, we've come out the other side of it now. And the first thing we've done is to reinstate our activity in terms of giving young people the opportunity. So I've just taken on one new apprentice. I've got another one to recruit before January into a commercial role. And then going forward, we're looking for internships and placement students, so we can begin to fill and support some of these guys that have missed out at all levels.
So you've sort of been able to sort of work with the BCU team into that pool of people who are looking for experience or jobs or both. And there's a sort of supply and demand piece here, isn't there? And I suppose it's great to hear that you're coming through it. And I suppose those opportunities are going to be snapped up, I'd imagine.
I would hope so. Yeah. I mean, it's been a little bit difficult in terms of understanding and taking advantage of those support announcements that came from government, and it hasn't really leveraged us to get going commercially, if I'm honest. They've been very difficult to understand, slow to get the rules out and slow to get the funding out. We've decided to, yes, we'll take those on, but we've decided to proceed off our own bat, really. We're confident enough to do that now and get back on track with training and with graduate engagement with academia.
Yeah, and I know a number of businesses have sort of said that there's still lessons from the sort of crash in 2008, and a lot maybe where they weren't taking on graduates then. They saw that when the recovery started, they were left behind from competitors who'd maybe either sort of kept their programs going or had been quicker to get back to recruiting graduates and were maybe trying to sort of learn the lessons. I mean, Julian, have you seen sort of much of that? Have people been sort of trying to be as innovative as they can while, as Rowan said, managing budgets and cash flow?
Yeah, I mean, the point that Rowan made about having to preserve cash and really focus on survival of the business and making sure it survives during the pandemic. That's led to the Association of Graduate Recruiters reporting about 28% of job offers that were made to graduates were rescinded.
Wow.
Last year. So that was an expectation of that individual to go into employment that was just suddenly stopped. So it's had a really big impact. But you mentioned the crash and 2008, and universities had to be very innovative then to look at ways of encouraging companies that wouldn't normally, not the Rowans of the world, Brandauer, who are very progressive in the way they think. They look at that talent and they look at the future of their business. But there's a lot of businesses that don't recognise that a graduate could add something to their own thinking and their own business, and they haven't traditionally taken them on. So, in 2008, we did a scheme called Try Before You Buy, and that was a 3-month short placement that I piloted down in the southwest that got rolled out right across the country. That looked at these three-month placements. Taking on a project or something, a new piece of R&D or something for that business that they've never been able to get around to, never had the bandwidth or the headspace or the skills, etc., to do that. And in that 3-month period, actually do that project, do that new marketing piece, the website, whatever it might have been. And the results from that were staggering. 79% of those students that went into those Try Before You Buy placements were taken on by the company that actually housed them during that period of time, that 3 months. So we need to do things like that. And I've been pleading with the local authorities, the West Midlands Combined Authority, etc., to just help us provide that minimum support in terms of some payment for the graduates when they go into these roles, and we'd match fund it and try and support it from universities. So the business would pay very, very little in terms of that 3-month period, but the hope is obviously they see the benefit of employing a graduate.
It's sort of breaking down maybe misplaced perceptions, isn't it? So people, as you say, thinking, oh, my expectations are going to be low, but if you try before you buy, as it were, then you suddenly see the what those graduates can bring. I mean, Rowan, you mentioned a BCU alum who was running the factory when you weren't able to be there. I mean, I guess that's a great example. I'm sure. Have you got others as well, where just people have come in and pleasantly surprised you or blown you away in terms of that fresh set of eyes and the skills that they're able to bring as sort of fresh blood into the organization?
Yeah, multiple times. So we've had placement students, we've had sandwich year students, and if I talk about one young lady that came in here and really did turn us upside down in terms of continuous improvement. She was on a year out between her postgraduate degree and her undergraduate degree, and she came here and we put her in a continuous improvement engineering role, which meant she's going around looking at all of our processes and driving efficiencies, increasing efficiencies on those lines. And she took the place by storm, fitted in immediately, contributed immediately, and really opened our eyes up to what we hadn't been doing and should be. And she's gone back to carry on with her studies now at BCU, and we've carried on with that work that we started really to our benefit and gain. And I hope she would think the same by coming here. Yeah. It was a great taster for like any SME environment. It's a very quick way to learn about a lot of different things.
And that's what we're talking about, isn't it? This is a thing where challenging times, but as we recover from any size business, you've got to be, it's going to be really competitive, more competitive than ever, and you've got to be really open-minded to how you are improving. And great example there of how graduates are a key part of that. And businesses need to be open-minded more so than ever, and receptive to restarting. If they have stopped their graduate recruitment, get them in, because it's going to make you better. It's not sort of like something that you just oh, we need some new bodies in. It's actually a way of improving your business. I mean, one thing, Julian, I just wanted to get your take on was sort of what impact on young people does exclusion from the labour market have? If you're, I don't know, early 20s and you've graduated, your expectations are there, aren't they? That's what you've been building up to through school and college, and what is the impact just on people's psyche, on your mental health, I guess, when you're suddenly, pandemic hits and everything's up in the air, and you've got all of these skills, you're so keen to get out there and apply them, and boom, there's no opportunities. And it must be just soul destroying.
Yeah, I mean, it's on multiple levels, from mental health and burst expectations in terms of what they look at that number that jobs were rescinded. There's a lot of people there that had high expectations. They thought they got a first job, that was taken away. There are others that haven't had that opportunity. So mental health and well-being is really impacted. Also, very negative thoughts. About 83% of graduates surveyed just recently said they had negative thoughts about themselves and their career prospects in the future. And these are young people that have got everything to live for and everything to go for in life. A long way in front of them. But at that age, after going through, taking on debt and struggle, and having most of our students have to work, and that's also been impacted. So, our students commute and come from areas in Birmingham and the West Midlands. They normally subsidise their studies and their survival by doing part-time jobs. That's been hit.
Normally in hospitality, I'm sure, would probably
be. Yeah, events, hospitality, all of those things that we do a lot of around Birmingham and the West Midlands, and we're good at. A showcase being the second city. So yeah, real impact on mental health, well-being, but also career prospects going forward. Because as you've got the new graduates coming out, these are the left behind, as they said in Brexit speak. These are the ones that there's several years here that will struggle to get that advantage again, as being fresh straight out of university, just come out of a placement, etc. We were looking at some data yesterday from our university and looking at levels of income from families where our students come from. And we have thousands and thousands of students from families that survive on less than £10,000 a year. And thousands of them, and that is, and they'll probably be the first in their family. Their family have supported them really, really strongly to get to university and help them through university when they're trying to survive on that sort of money. So, it's not just the graduate, but it's also their families that are impacted on this and their communities. So, there's a serious social aspect to this and community aspect to this. We've got to do something about it. I mean, one of the projects that we're working on at the moment with DWP, Solihull and Greater Birmingham, Job Centre Plus, and Aston University. So we got together to look at, because there was nothing in the government programme under Kickstarter, to try and do some sort of pilot, some sort of little innovative, localised scheme, which I was talking to the Minister yesterday about. And we've had Job Centre Plus introduce us to over 1,000 graduates in Birmingham and Solihull at the moment, and they've put them our way. So our teams, our careers teams, and our work coaches at BCU and Aston, and we're bringing in the other universities as well, to actually try and work with those that are on claimant and claimant count, that are graduates, that are resident in Birmingham and Solihull. And there's little things like that we can do just to try and
it's important, it's crucial, isn't it? And I mean, some of those the sort of stats and the picture you painted, is grim, but it's a reality. And I suppose that it's been a fascinating conversation, because there's those push factors as to why we need to be doing this, because it's so important for people's lives and for our society as a whole. And that's not an overstatement, I don't think, to say that. But also we've seen about the benefits that businesses will get from doing this. So it's sort of you bring them together, and I think that's what we're trying to do, really, just extol the virtues of this today and encourage people to maybe take a moment and to think. So just to wrap up then, for both of you, I mean, what would be your sort of parting words of advice for businesses who are maybe considering taking on a graduate or starting their planning for 2021? I mean, Rowan, what would you advise those who are watching today?
Don't leave it too long. I know everyone's had to preserve cash and stop investing in training programs, etc. Don't leave it too long. We really must get back on track in manufacturing. We've been doing a grand job of bridging the skills gap that was created many moons ago, and this is a brief interruption. It really must be. I can speak from experience. Engage with academia, get graduates or undergraduates into your business, and your business will be better as a result. So the sooner we get back to doing that, the better. Yeah,
that's a great message. I mean, Julian, anything to add to that?
Yeah, and I've been uncharacteristically grim in terms of this Q&A session and talking to you, Paul. I'm normally very upbeat, and I am, in terms of the opportunities for all of us. But we're going to have to work together for some of the reasons I've said. So it's not just impacting, I know, on graduates, it's impacting on young people all the way around. But if these opportunities don't open up for graduates, it's going to go down in terms of those that haven't got degrees. So the graduates will be going for jobs that others would go for, and the whole of our community and society is impacted. So I would just plead with my friends at the Chamber of Business community and other organisations out there, if they're going to tune into this, can we work collectively to think of innovative schemes where we could just work together if there's no government support for this? Are there things that we can do? Could businesses provide online mentoring for graduates, for instance? Are there, entrepreneurship clubs that we could start for new business startups? There's a whole raft of, we are very innovative in the Midlands
Yes.
and in Birmingham. And it's not beyond our wit to actually come up with some really great schemes, I think, to help us. Even if nationally the picture is bleak, I think we could do something amazing altogether.
Well, and I think that's, look, the time is now, isn't it? We can see the need, we can see the issue, but the vaccines are on their way, nice and chilled, and the world is going to turn again. And it's important that people are kickstarting and firing up their businesses, re-emerging. And I think graduates, as Rowan said, that you've got to be thinking now, tap into this pool of availability. And like you said, Julian, if you've got ideas or thoughts, then let's share them. Come to us at the chamber. I mean, yourself, BCU, really, really innovative university, always sort of up for trying new things. So it's a bit of an open call, isn't it? And as you say, ultimately, it's by collaborating, working together. Will help those who there's some brilliant, amazing talent, which is just sat there waiting to get their foot on that ladder. And I think it's about all of us making sure that they do. So, Julian, Rowan, thank you so much for joining us. We could talk for hours on this, but really appreciate that. And thank you once again.
Thanks both.
Thank you very much.